Good evening. This is Tuesday, February 27th, 2018, and this is the regular board meeting of the Clay Township Board. We're at 6 p.m. in the community room at the John Hensel Government Center. The first order of business is the Pledge of the Flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recognition? Is there anyone?
No.
Well, we're going to come up with someone. Not tonight. Approval of minutes. We have minutes from the January 2nd meeting, which was our organizational board meeting, and Matt was gone, so Paul?
I move for adoption of the January 2nd organizational board meeting minutes.
I second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the minutes from the recent meeting of January 23rd, the annual board meeting report, Paul was gone. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Wait, can I, I need to make a correction on that.
Okay.
And it's my mistake when I was talking about it, about the bond for the Modon Center, or the Central Park. I said it would be, it would end in 2014 or January 2015. It should be 2024 or January 2025. So on page 8, it's the very top line, I need to correct that.
So moved as amended on page 8 by Doug.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next order of business are public comments. Any tonight? All right, thank you. We have an action item, resolution number 2018-02-27-01, update of the Township Assistant Guidelines. Doug?
Yeah, every year we have to have your approval on the 2018 poverty guidelines or township assistance. And all you need to do is the sheet you have on the income and the rent averages, just take out of your book those 2 pages and add what you got today and place those into your book for 2018.
Okay.
Okay, and basically what it is just the income level in Hamilton County is 120%. That's the big thing. And then the other thing is we have started doing is for 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, depending on the size of your family and what size you need. We came up, Donna went through the entire, well, about 10 different apartment complexes, got 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, and what we did, we averaged them out. And so at the bottom there, it says average. Mm-hmm. That's what we will pay up to in assisting clients.
So moved as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second?
Any discussion? Paul?
None.
Matt?
None.
May I have a motion to approve? We'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next, well, we're just scooting along tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
Next are the information items, and this is, Chief, are you ready? Fire Chief Dave Habush to discuss the new MIHP, Mobile Integrated Health Program.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for the opportunity to come and be part of your meeting tonight. Wanted to give you an update on one of the programs that the fire department has been working on called MIHP, Mobile Integrated Health Program. And a simple explanation of what this program is the fire service has historically been a 100% reactive business in that we do not respond to a call until after the emergency has happened. And many years ago, we noticed that there was a gap in the system. Essentially, some of the residents in our community were loyalty customers, meaning that they would use our 911 services quite frequently. And so what Mobile Integrated Health does is it takes a proactive approach to what historically has been a reactive business. And so With me tonight, I'd like to introduce a few people. The first person I'd like to introduce is Sunny Lou Williams. Sunny is Vice President of Medical Solutions with Telemond, which is a Carmel-based company located on 116th Street. And she has been instrumental in this program, along with a few other members that I'm going to introduce to you here in just a moment. Another gentleman that I want to give recognition to, and he couldn't be with us tonight, is our medical director, Dr. Michael Kaufman. Dr. Kaufman has been our EMS director for the last 15 years, and he's the medical director for emergency services at St. Vincent's Hospital as well. The other two gentlemen that I want to recognize is, I'll start with Captain Tom Payne. He's our EMS captain, and he works an administrative shift Monday through Friday in the EMS division. He, along with his cohort here, Lieutenant Tom Small, former EMS Chief Tom Small, have been a driving force with this program. They've been instrumental in the success of it, and I'm going to introduce them here to come on up, and they're going to present some information to you, and then they're going to talk about some of our outcomes, and then I'm going to come up here and just, well, you know what? Are you going to hand out the information now? While they're handing them out, I'm just going to connect a few dots. So you might ask, why is Telemon working with our mobile integrated health program? Telemon helped the fire department work out a business model to be able to figure out our true costs involved in the program. And so I'm proud to report that this is a program that is self-funded, and essentially the program, the business model is that there's no cost to the taxpayers. We've been able to develop a model in which it's a fee-for-service, and it's 100% recoverable with a contract that we have in place through St. Vincent's Health. So essentially, if St. Vincent's has a patient that they want us to follow up on, we do it with one of our mobile integrated health paramedics. They go out to the home, they check on the patient, and we are able to get reimbursed for our true costs through the hospital. So it's again a proactive approach to what typically has been a reactive business. They also get dispatched out to, we flag those addresses, and if we get a 911 call from that address, the mobile integrated health paramedic will actually respond to the home as well and check up and follow up with them. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Lieutenant Tom Small, and if you would, I would like to publicly congratulate Tom in front of the board here. Tom is a 22-year member of the department, and he just recently became a lieutenant, and so he's a lieutenant on B shift now, and so I want to welcome Tom to come up and speak. So, Tom.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
He was one of our very first paramedics.
Yes.
He was, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to kind of go over this sheet that Captain Payne gave you. We started this program in July 1st of 2014, and what we did is we did a community risk needs assessment to see what exactly was our biggest need in the community. So we went through all of our EMS runs and decided how many times is too many times to call 911 in the city of Carmel Clay Township. We came up with a number of 4. If they call 4 times in a year, then that's something we probably ought to go out and check on and see what the issue is. And as you can see there with that first one under the average annual EMS transports, 44%, the majority of our runs come from a residence. So, and then with that was falls. Falls was the most highest run that we went on. Falls of the elderly, 65 years old or older. So we started visiting those patients as a proactive approach, seeing what we could do, doing a fall assessment through the State Board of Health, put out a fall assessment program for the elderly. So we went through that with them, and we did see a decrease in those amount of runs. So the core program services, you can see there on the right-hand side, that's kind of what the program is made up of. We do preventative education. We guide people through the medical, they have to go down to the hospital. We try to help them guide their way through the system. And then we do a little bit of case management. It's where St. Vincent's comes in. If they give us a patient, we'll go do a visit with them. We'll assess them. If they need treatment, we'll treat them. And then we try to educate them on their disease, whether it be diabetes, congestive heart failure, atrial fib, whatever it may be. We try to do that education with them. So we signed the contract with St. Vincent's in 2016. Actually, it was signed December 23rd, 2015, but we started in January 6th of 2016. And so since then, as you can see there, we've seen 177 patients with this, and 81% of them we have kept going back to the hospital in a year's time, or a 30-day period, I should say. And that's what the hospitals are looking at. They want to try to keep them out of the hospital for more than 30 days. 81% is within 30 days, but our average per year is right around 80% too, I believe. So we're doing a real good job as far as our medics that are going out are doing a real good job of keeping these patients out of the hospital. And if they're out of the hospital, then they're happy and they're living good lives. So that's pretty much the goal of it, of the whole program. We are starting a new program with the Hamilton County Court, with the drug court program, where if they have someone that is addicted to opioids and they go in front of the Hamilton County Drug Court, then they can rule that they get treatment. With that is that we would meet with them at the probation office or the sheriff's office or something like that, and we would give them a shot. The drug's called Vivitrol, and that stays in their system for 30 days, to where if they would happen to take an opioid during that 30-day time period, it would make them violently sick and they would have to go to the hospital. So it's kind of deterrent for them to use it. And that is, again, drug ordered, but we're getting ready to start that about any day. As soon as we just got to finish up a few things, and then it's going to start with them. So, yeah, wrapping up the funding on that right now. So, other than that, if you guys have any questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them.
Paul?
I'm interested to know how Telemon got involved.
So we had a,
You have the
Can you come up to the
microphone,
mic? I'm
please.
sorry.
And introduce yourself into the record, please.
This is a first-hand account.
thank you, board members. I'm Sunny Lou Williams with Telemon. So we had a mutual friend that introduced us to a marketing video that was an accreditation training video that the Carmel Fire Department put together. And at the time, I watched this video and saw, wow, community paramedicine, this is happening here within our state, whereas we had been deploying community paramedicine programs in other states, not thinking that the state of Indiana had already defined protocols, policies, and procedures, and so forth. So I gave then EMS Chief Small a call, and we set up a meeting, and the rest is history. From a Telemon Medical Solutions perspective, our main focus has been over the years in program management and design, supporting health innovations for hospital and health systems overall. We moved into the public health space for integrated healthcare in looking at what does the community really need when we see lack of healthcare access, and who are the best non-traditional, so really non-hospital resources to deliver that care. And we came back to assessing comprehensive capabilities in EMTs and paramedics, specifically paramedics within the state operating under medical director guidance, to then really become an extension of that hospital. We partnered with several health systems in understanding what the community health needs were, and in my opinion, St. Vincent, part of the Ascension Health System, was certainly the most innovative and outreaching as far as partnership, community health focus, and then ultimately a core private-public partnership understanding to say, what are the traditional strengths of the health system, and where can they partner to reach out with organizations like Carmel Fire Department to really create a best-in-class program. I'm happy to also state that there are many champions in the program. As Chief Hobbush mentioned, the folks here in the room today. A key aspect of our success has been with Sean Sutton and others with the Professional Firefighters Union, and even literally ushering me through the International Association of Firefighters in DC and having the opportunity to present mobile integrated health with Sean and Tony Murray and Tom Small and others, so that that particular constituency group understands why it's so powerful for firefighter paramedics to really own the public trust in these mobile integrated health programs. Further to that, I'm sure we would be remiss if we didn't identify that Dr. Michael Kaufman, who has been such a great steward of this program from a clinical perspective, is now not only the medical director for Carmel Fire, but also the medical director for the EMS Commission for the state. So we look to many more grand things to come in this comprehensive partnership. Great, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could, I just wanted to connect a few dots. I was jotting down a few notes listening. The recent appointment of Dr. Kaufman has just taken place in the last week or so. So this is all brand new information, very exciting. He is still going to continue to be our medical director. So he's worked out his schedule with the state, and so he's going to continue in his role. And the reason that he is so key is that by statute, our authority to actually administer procedurally and then also administer drugs and treatment plans, that is dictated by our medical director. Dr. Kaufman's very cutting edge. He has great confidence in Carmel firefighters. So our scope of practice is actually very vast. And so just to be clear, the purpose of the program is, it's an important point, it's very simple, but it's to improve the population, the health of our population here in Carmel Clay Township. And by being able to help keep people out of the hospital and be able to stay at home or wherever they are, just lends to quality of life. And so that is the overall purpose of the program. I also wanted to mention that the seed money for the program actually was started through, for the pilot program, came through St. Vincent's Ascension Health. So we received 2 grants through their foundations, which started this program and allowed us a lot of latitude in order to be able to get the program up and running. And Sonny mentioned, because I did want to mention, the cooperation from the local union and President Sean Sutton. Originally, when this program started, we had very narrow parameters, no direct costs back to the taxpayers, and we weren't going to add a program that added to the overall budget. And so that is how we got very creative in doing this. Another thing that Telamon has really brought to the table is historically for the fire department to be able to capture the data and send it back to the hospital in a usable format, that would have taken us, it would have been a massive project. And Telamon was able to do it in-house, and that's part of the information technology that they have available to them. And items, we laughed internally in the administration, items that would take us, if we were trying to do this through a third-party vendor, would normally take literally months. And with Telamon, they would get the information in days, sometimes hours later, whatever the glitch was with the computer program, they had it up and running and it was fixed and it's worked flawlessly. So it really has been a great partnership. And then the other piece that Telamon has brought to the table is that they help negotiate the contract with the hospital. We're really good at what we do. We're really good about responding. We're really good about patient care and treatment. And I believe Carmel firefighters are as good, if not better, than anybody else in the United States. I truly say that with 100% confidence. Having said that, we don't negotiate contracts typically. So Telamon has been instrumental in being able to do that and actually boil it down to what our true costs are. And then the last piece of this is that I mentioned that we originally were doing this with firefighters so that we had no overhead. This originally started off as a 6-week pilot program, and we had agreed with the local union to have on-duty firefighters do that. That 6-week pilot program turned into 6 months and eventually turned into a year. And rather than hire full-time employees here for the program, we elected to take seasoned paramedics that were actually retiring, and so we hired them to come back as part-time employees, and they've got great bedside manner, and they've got 20-plus years experience on the street, and most importantly, they were and continue to be members of the Carmel Fire Department. And so we're really, really proud of this program, and happy to take any other questions that you might have.
Yeah.
Well, Lieutenant Small, you said that 4 was, when you were coming up with how many calls is too many, you said 4. So is that the circuit breaker now, or does St. Vincent's make a recommendation for who you visit?
Well, the way we do it now is if they do 4, if somebody calls 4 times, we just go out and visit that. We don't get.
They don't necessarily enroll.
Yeah, they're not necessarily enrolled where we would bill for that patient. They have to be a patient of St. Vincent's in order for us to send St. Vincent's a bill for it. So we just take it upon that as our job as public servants to be
So it's not
to be
limited.
proactive.
So it's not limited to just St. Vincent's
No.
patients? Fantastic.
Nope.
Well, I just want to commend you on this because I actually work for 3 different hospitals. So I know many of the problems that come when you're dealing with the elderly and they're lonely and they call the fire department or they call the police department. They need somebody to talk to. And I know that you're there to provide the service of medical care, but sometimes that is the care, you know. And so I'm so glad it's you guys that are doing it because I know that you have more compassion than just about anybody else. I think it's a tremendous thing, and I just have to tell you something that just happened in the last week. For years, in working in a hospital, I used to say they need to combine the ER and get it out of there and have a separate building. Guess what they're doing now? 20 years ago, I started saying this when I was working. We need to do things that are more efficient to the hospital, and let the hospital function as a hospital and not that type of a system. So I'm sure that this will relieve that a great way to have you involved in doing this, and I really applaud you. It's great. Any other comments or questions? Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I do have one.
Go ahead.
So I've got this straight. So you guys make go out on a run, you respond to an elderly person that's got COPD, okay? You load them up, you take them to the hospital, and it could be any hospital, right? Now, where does it go from there? If it's St. Vincent's, it's one thing, but if it goes to another hospital to do follow-up care, and how long does, all this come together?
Well, right now, any follow-up care that's done from a hospital standpoint is done through St. Vincent's. We only have a contract with St. Vincent right now.
Okay.
We have been working with IU, but right now, the only contract is with St. Vincent. So that would be your example would be a patient that we would just take it upon ourselves to go out and visit, just to make sure that everything's going okay. And
Does somebody need to call you, or do you just automatically do it in a couple of days or something?
we just automatically do it.
Oh, okay.
If they've had 4 runs.
Well, yes, correct. Well, no,
No,
not
that
necessarily.
wouldn't be-
They don't have to have just 4 runs. That's just, when we did our needs assessment, that's what we came up with of how many times is too many times to call 911 in a year. So then what we did with that number is we went through 3 years' worth of data and how many people called 911 more than 4 times a year. And we got to the letter C and already had 40 people, so there was no reason to go any further. We already knew it was needed. So, but one of the other things we do is if our guys go out on a run and it's just a lift assist where they just got to go help them up and they're not injured, but they got to help them up, they'll also send an email to our program and we'll go out and assist them any way we can. And again, that's not a fee for service type of thing either. We just take it upon
So your
ourselves to do
engine
that.
company would do that, or ambulance crew, whatever?
The engine would go do the-
Contact the EMS office?
Right, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I
we have a
thought.
separate email set up for the program, and they just send that email straight to that program, and then our community medics grab it, and they go do the visit.
Oh, great.
So-
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments? Yes. go
I'm
ahead.
sure most of you know this, but maybe some of the people at home would not know this. The most expensive way for any patient to enter the healthcare system is through the emergency room. And the last number I heard was about $2,600 on average between The ambulance bill and then the actual ER visit and the doctor's cost is about $2,600. Not everybody necessarily needs to go through the emergency room. And so one of the goals of the program is to help people who might fall in the gaps, help them be able to navigate the system. And a quick example of this is that both Lieutenant Small and Captain Payne had shared this story in the past. And there was a gentleman that was supposed to go to door 17 at St. Vincent's 86th Street campus. And he got in his car and he drove over there and he was looking for a parking spot. Couldn't find door 17. So he got frustrated. He went home and he called 911. So it was 2-year door service, and we went out and picked him up and we took him through the ER, and he entered the healthcare system that way. And so the other big story, and some people have heard me tell this, we had a gentleman that over about a 1.5-year span that we went out to 188 times to his home here in Carmel. And it wasn't that the family was doing anything wrong. Literally, it was a gentleman and his wife was a very petite gal, and he would fall down a lot. And quite simply, they had no one else to call to come help pick him up. And if that story is not vivid enough, there would be times that they would call 911, we would go out, we would pick him up. Sometimes we'd transport him, sometimes we wouldn't. And if they had called a couple times during the day, because he would continue to fall, we looked at it from 7 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, 3 at night to 11 at night, and then 3 in the afternoon to 11 at night, 11 at night, 7 in the morning. Obviously, 11 at night, 7 in the morning was a much smaller number. And so I was talking to some of the people that had responded, and they said, you understand why it's much smaller at night? And I said, well, because they're asleep. And he said, no, that's not always the case. And I said, what are you talking about? And if they had called 911 for help during the day, the wife knew that we changed shifts at 7 o'clock in the morning. So if we had been out there a couple times, rather than having the firefighters come back out and help them again, she would put pillows and blankets on the floor and he would sleep on the floor. And then they would wait till 7 o'clock the next morning. And so our belief is that this community, the people that live here, deserve better than that. And so when people fall in the gaps in the healthcare system, we want to take a proactive approach to be able to help cover those gaps for them and help them navigate the system. And so that, in a nutshell, is the Mobile Integrated Health Program, and we're very proud of it. And we thank you, this board, Trustee Callahan, for your support in all that the Carmel Clay Township Fire Department does. So thank you for the opportunity to come speak this evening.
Thank you very much. The next order of business is the Carmel Fire Department EMS fund budget. Doug?
At our last meeting, when we were going through the annual report, it came up about I talked a lot about the EMS report, or the EMS fund that the fire department has. So you asked about what do we actually purchase out of that EMS fund. And so what I did is I made a copy of Denise Snyder from the fire department sent me a copy of things that we buy, or they buy, they buy out of the EMS fund. So when you go down through there, and the first thing you're going to see, of course, is the 39011, which is specialty department supplies, which is their wrappings, their tape, you know, any of that kind of stuff that they use in wrapping people up. But anyway, I talked about the capital outlay. The category 4 in the fire department's budget is 0, and because everything comes out of the CMS fund. So if you look at the 600 numbers, all of our 600 numbers are, of course, capital outlay. And so when you look down through here, you'll see what they purchase out of each one of these line items for the next year. Now, if you go to the very back,